But Michael, what is Vibe Analytics? Why are we talking about?
Well, I think we're talking about Vibe Analytics because in the spirit of full disclosure and indeed attribution, I was doing at MIT, I'm a research fellow at the MIT Sloan School's initiative on the digital economy. And I was on parallel tracks that converged. What were those parallel tracks? I was very interested in KPIs, key performance indicators. How would generative AI, predictive AI, agentic AI improve the quality of KPIs? And obviously, there are all manner of ways one can apply AI technologies to do that. But then I had the obvious insight, at least I thought it was an obvious insight at the time. What if instead of focusing on how do we improve a KPI, why don't we make the KPI an intelligent software agent? Why not put the intelligence in the metric itself? Now, what's the other parallel track that basically turned into a collision, a mashup, a convergence? I'm at MIT. The motto is mens et manus, mind in hands, and we build stuff at MIT. Let's create promptathons. And then it requires no brilliance or imaginative leaps to realize, gee, if you're trying to come up with KPIs and you're working with CFOs and CMOs, why not do promptathons to try to facilitate, create KPIs? But the single biggest thing everybody in this webinar needs to be aware of is the purpose of Vibe Analytics is not better answers, but better insights. Vibing is about insights, not answers. Reframing perspective, not enhancing precision. Yeah, we're going to enhance precision at some point, but you do vibing with the notion of how do I transform the insights that can become testable hypotheses.
Thanks. And that's so aligned with what we do at Plotly. You know, helping people to visualize data doesn't give them, it's not the answer. It helps them to gain insights. It helps them to share insights. And the tagline here, from experimental to essential, I think it really, well, let's look at the data. Like a lot of folks are, I'd say the majority here are using AI weekly. This is for analyzing data. And look at that, over half are using it every day. So AI is already here. I'm sure most of the folks on this call are in the data analysis sphere. And it'd be interesting to reflect on your own experience. But AI has become essential. The adoption curve here is steeper than mobile phones. You know, that should tell you everything.
There's a lot of experimentation going on. But I just want to double down on my, forgive me, ontological point here. What is providing the AI capabilities? Notice that the word there is capabilities, not tools. And I think this is, the ChatGPT, the Grok, the Claude context windows really are trained and add value differently. And I think I look forward to seeing what your comments are in this regard, because some of them do a great job with an Excel spreadsheet or a CSV file.
That's great. I love that we have a different view here, because you know, as Plotly, one of the things we're trying to do is build that workflow into Studio. And
right.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested how people feel about, you know, do you want to build your own custom workflow, or would you expect to go to one place and have it all kind of there as part of your tool bench? So kind of building on that, why might people not be prioritizing it? Maybe they see some of the trust challenge here. You know, vibe coding is great, but going from it works to I trust it is quite a leap of faith. And so when we look at the data, and I don't know if this is actually splitting the crowd. I maybe don't agree with my words here, but why are you not using AI more often for data analysis? Well, security and privacy. There are some
absolutely folks. I think that everybody should be playing with vibe coding. Just because you play with something doesn't mean that you're married to it or committed to it. You're discovering as much about your own style as you are about the data set when you vibe with something.
So let me posit the reason that people aren't prioritizing it so much is because they see this as well. This, how ready is vibe coding for developing production code? Um, as that vibe coding, and I know this internally at Plotly, when we talk about um, becoming proponents of vibe analytics, a lot of folks are like, particularly in engineering, like, oh, vibing, it has a bad reputation. It can hallucinate. It can do all kinds of things. And so you see there are mixed feelings, let me put it that way, about where the vibe coding is ready for actually developing production code. So we care about both. As you look at the Plotly platform, Plotly Studio particularly is why do you use Plotly Studio, which is using a backend LLM like Claude? Why do you use that rather than using Claude directly? Well, it's because we've built an environment that actually uses all the best practices that we've learned over 10 years.
Exactly.
To sum it up, we're definitely at an inflection point. There's a lot of AI adoption, but we feel anyway that's kind of constrained by tool limitations, security concerns, issues of trust. But organizations that manage to bridge that gap, with a secure, integrated, production-ready AI analytic workflow will capture enormous value. So the challenge is on really for us to take vibe coding and those experiments and move that into more of a vibe analytics standard.